What we'd like to share with you today is an authentic way to train your core. We're going to simply first assess your ability, the ability of the client, patient, or athlete, and then follow it up with a conditioning program. So what we're going to have Keith do is a simple hand reach. Remember, the core is everything but the extremity, but we can use the extremities to facilitate natural core reactions. So as Keith goes through these different movements, and there's many to perform, in our library you're going to see different hand placements relative to the body. Here Keith is showing you a shoulder to overhead. In the older population, oftentimes we'll use a waist to shoulder. Sometimes we'll use a waist to knee. Here through demonstration we're just going to share with you hand to overhead reaches. Every time Keith goes through the reach, what should happen is a core reaction. And it's simple. If you were to just stand up right now and do it on your own body, you would start to understand how reactive your core is, as long as you're not just whipping the hand out there. For example, what we don't want to see in an assessment is the hand whipping out like this. Something has to stop that, and oftentimes that creates congestion in the center of the core, not a nice fluid reaction. So this can be used as an assessment tool, as just mentioned. I'm going to have Keith do that one more time, and I'll share you a couple variations. Oftentimes when the core is restricted, what happens is the pelvis just drags along, so to speak. So what we would do with your hands is just simply place your hand here and lag the pelvis behind just ever so slightly. You're not retarding motion, you're actually controlling it. And that allows a greater stretch reaction in the core, helping to prepare it for more increased demand. So the take home here is you want to go through all your different angulations. As your hand is reaching, it should facilitate motion in the core. This would then be followed up with a strength exercise. So I'm going to have Keith overload by using some light dumbbells. Always start off light. What you just witnessed in the extensibility portion of your program should then be replicated to a degree. Because the muscles are now under a greater load, it won't be exactly the same, but you should see motion. This is how you identify if the weight is too heavy. The system will literally start to shut down in the center. So if you see a person real congested in the center, as their extremity is moving, the load is too heavy. So understanding the individual's threshold is critical to authentic functioning of the core. For a more advanced mobilization, extensibility part of your program, here we're going to take Keith through a multidimensional pattern through his thoracic region. We're going to use the hands once again as a driver. So here we're going to have Keith simply take his right hand out as far out as possible. An interesting note that all human movement has a position at which you start, an angle at which you move, a vertical and a horizontal depth. Here what we're doing is we're really gaining that horizontal distance. That's very important because it pulls on the core tissue. Once he's done that, I'm going to have him rotate to the left. That will create core rotation to the left. If I wanted to enhance that, I could take my hand and just slowly retard the motion just a pinch. You don't have to stop the motion. What you're going to do is just slow it down a little bit, which then creates a stretch reaction between these 2 points. After Keith is done in his rotation to the left, I'm going to have him take his left hand as high as possible. Once again, getting as much distance as possible, this time in the vertical plane. Once he's there, I'm going to have him laterally bend to the right. This will create lateral flexion of the core to the right. And again, I can come in here now, hold down on the pelvis, not stop its motion, just hold down very, very slightly, and that helps to mobilize the whole left side of the body, thus creating an efficient right lateral bend. Now we're going to put the two together. So he has his right arm out as far as possible and his left. Now because we're going to add the two together, you're not going to get as much gross motion, instead an integrated motion. So I'm going to have Keith rotate to his left, laterally bend to his right. And that's what we call a type 1 dominant type pattern, where you're going in opposite directions. We have rotation to the left, lateral bending to the right. Once again, your hands can come in and simply flat hand contact, hold on to the pelvis, the connective tissue surrounding the pelvis, so we get a little bit more stretch force. You create a spring type reaction. This will prepare the person for that multi-dimensional, three-dimensional cage type movement that they're going to participate in many activities of daily living and many sport activities. The Gray Institute is the Institute of Applied Functional Science. Applied Functional Science is founded off of unifying principles of nature. To learn more and to see the workout in its entirety, and the education that supplements the workouts, please visit our website.